Hey everybody, it's Miss Smith. So today we're going to start balancing equations. Now what I want you to do is get out your periodic table that I gave you, the original one with the plastic sheet protector on it. This one, I've got my plastic sheet protector on this one. And the reason why I want you to do this is because normally when we balance equations in my classroom, I'll actually give you a personal whiteboard and an expo marker, and it makes balancing equations so much easier because this can get kind of frustrating over time. So when I designed these periodic tables to give you, I did it in a protective sleeve on purpose so that you could use this as a whiteboard. So anyway, go ahead and get that out and we're going to get started for today. All right, so I've already written up these notes for today just to go through this a little faster so I don't make this video 30 minutes long. So if you want to go ahead and pause this video and write these notes down, that would be great. It's a really great idea. So go ahead and pause the video now. All right, so balancing equations, there's 4 easy steps. Number 1, write down a chemical equation for the reaction using the formula and symbol. Literally just write it down, that's all you have to do. Okay, reactants go on the left, products go on the right, and you got the yield symbol in between them. Step 2, list all the elements in the equation in a column under the yield symbol. Tally the number of each element on each separately. Okay, so that's kind of difficult for me to explain in writing. I'll just have to show you here in a minute. Step 3, choose coefficients that balance the equation. We talked about coefficients. Those are the big numbers in front of the formula. Step 4 is to check yourself. Now, at the bottom here, I have listed a couple of tips and tricks for you. The first one is only use coefficients when balancing. Do not touch, for example, do not touch these numbers, these subscripts down here. Don't touch them. They're there already. You are only going to put numbers in front of them. Okay, the next one is never change subscripts. We just talked about that. And then leave oxygen and hydrogen last. That should say last. Leave oxygen and hydrogen last. They kind of tend to take care of themselves. So it's, you know, if the only choices that you've got to fix is oxygen and hydrogen, by all means fix oxygen and hydrogen. But otherwise, try to leave them last. It'll help you out. Now, I have a series of 5 problems here. I have 4 that I'm going to do with you, and then I've got a challenge question that I'm going to let you pause the video and work on this one without me. Okay, but first what I want to do is I want to show you how to use this makeshift whiteboard that I have created. All right, so here's my periodic table, and I've still got it in the little sheet protector. So all you do is take this periodic table out, set it to the side. Do not lose that, you're going to need it. And take some printer paper that's blank like this. You could use notebook paper. It's just, it may not be the right size. That's really up to you. Any kind of white paper or blank paper would work. And so you just slip it inside. And now you have a makeshift whiteboard. So you take a dry erase marker, and I have like a little eraser that I use. And so I just picked up a dry erase marker. The first step is to write down the equation. Well, I did that already. Here it is. All right, now the next step is to write down every element that you see in a column under the yield symbol. So I see nitrogen and I see hydrogen. All right, step number 3, or actually we're still in step number 2, would be to tally them up on either side. So what I do is I look to see what I've got on the left, I look to see what I've got on the right, and I put it on down here. Okay, so on the left side I have 2 nitrogens, so I put a 2 there. On the right side, I have 1 nitrogen. Now this 3 doesn't go for that nitrogen. Remember, the 3 only is for the hydrogen. So it's 1 nitrogen. Then I go over here and I look at hydrogen on the left side. I've got 2 of those. And then I look at hydrogen on the right side and I have 3. Now the goal is to get these numbers to match. These numbers do not match. This is a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3. They don't match. The goal is to get them to match. And we do that by putting numbers in front of them, and they multiply whatever is there. So the problem is some people get confused and like, oh, well, my numbers here need to match and make identical to what's here. No, that's not what happens. All it is, this is just a tally for you to keep the math straight in your head. That's all that is. Okay, so let's try it. Let's see if we can do something. Now, it's a lot of trial and error. You may be wrong. You may have to erase stuff. This is why doing it on a whiteboard is much easier. All right, so what I'm going to do is let's start with nitrogen, because remember one of my tips said try to leave oxygen and hydrogen last if you can. So let's see if we can fix nitrogen. Well, I've got 2 nitrogen here. So this is the one that I need to fix, is that one right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a big 2 in front here, just like that. And so this 2 multiplies that nitrogen, and it multiplies the hydrogen. So I'm going to put a 2 here. Now, this hydrogen has 3 attached to it, so that's actually, that one becomes 6 as well. So now these match. So my nitrogen's good to go, but my hydrogen is not. So what you need to do is fix the hydrogen on the left side. So if I put a 6 here, because some of you are going to want to put a 6 there, that's not correct. The reason why is because there's a 2. So 6 times 2 would be 12. Well, I don't need 12 of them, I need 6. So I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to put a 3 there instead, and that becomes 6. And so technically we're doing step 4. Let's check ourselves. 2 and 2, 6 and 6. We are correct. Now, if it's balanced and I still have a blank, you need to remember to write your 1s. Remember to write your 1s. You got to put a 1 there. This is the only time you're going to write a 1. The 1 is not understood to be there, so you do need to put a 1 there. Okay, so now that I've showed you how to use the whiteboard, I'm just going to erase this and I'll get ready for the next one. But now since I've shown you the whiteboard, I'm going to actually do this back in my notebook just so you can see this a little bit better because my camera is not liking this very much. So let me switch over to my notebook. All right, so the answer for number 1 was 1, 3, 2. 1, 3, 2. All right, so let's do number 2. It was KClO3, which is potassium chlorate. This yields, doesn't add, yields NH3. Oh no, wait, sorry, wrong problem. Oops. KClO3 yields KCl plus O2. There we go. Now I got it correctly. Okay, so step 1, write it down. We did that. Step 2, write down every element that you see in a column under the yield sign. So potassium, chlorine, and oxygen. Then I do a tally. So I look at potassium on the left side. I've only got 1. I look at potassium on the right side. I only have 1. I look at chlorine on the left. Remember, this 3 is only for the oxygen. It's attached to the oxygen. So this chlorine has 1. This chlorine has 1. This oxygen here has 3. So make sure you put 3 there. And this oxygen here has a 2. Okay, so this is, I don't want to say an unusual circumstance. It's just one that's kind of, this is already balanced already. And this one's balanced already. And it can happen where everything is balanced already. So it would be a 1 here and a 1 here as well. And so to balance that one, you just literally put 1, 1, 1. It does happen. It can happen, and that's fine. But this one is not because this one's not balanced. Now, if you notice, before we were kind of dealing with things, and the one we did earlier with the 2 and the 3, we were dealing with 6s and stuff like that. But a little trick that I have learned is if I've got this kind of odd and even thing going on here, it's best to get a multiple between the 2. So the least common multiple of 2 and 3 is 6. Okay, so let's try this. So I'm just going to start kind of putting numbers in. I'm going to be strategic about where I put them. I normally say I leave oxygen and hydrogen last, but that's the only one that's not balanced this time. So let's try them with oxygen. So I'm going to put a 3 here. Let's try it. Let's see if it works. So remember, I've got to do 3 times 2. Okay, so that's going to make that 6. So now I need to make this oxygen on this side 6. So I'm going to put a 2 here, so that makes that 6. But remember, it multiplies the potassium, the chlorine, and the oxygen. So this becomes 2, and this also becomes 2. Okay, oh, well, these are not balanced anymore. Oh, crap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 2 here. That 2 multiplies the potassium and the chlorine, so 2 and 2. Okay, so this is balanced. 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 6 and 6. We're good to go. It's balanced, so 2, 2, 3. All right, next one. Okay, so step 1, we wrote it down. Step 2, write every element you see down underneath the yield symbol. Okay, I've got potassium and I have, not potassium, phosphorus and oxygen. So I'm going to do 1 and 2. So 1 potassium on the left, 2 on the right. Oxygen, 2 and 5. So let's leave oxygen last. Let's see if we can fix this phosphorus. So I've got 2 phosphorus on the left side here. So I'm going to put a 2 here. Let's see if that'll do it. Well, that's good. That multiplies that one. So we're good. So phosphorus is balanced now. Okay, so let's fix this oxygen. Okay, so I've got a 2 and a 5. Well, they're kind of an odd and even thing. So let's find a least common multiple. Least common multiple of 2 and 5 is 10. So let's see. Let's put if I've got a 5 here and I'm trying to get to 10, this will be a 2. So let's try this. So that makes this 10, but remember it also multiplies the phosphorus. So that becomes 4. Well, it messes up what I did over here because no longer this is balanced anymore. So crap, now I gotta fix that. So let's put a 4 here. Let's try it. Okay, now technically, remember that's technically a 1 to be understood. So when I multiply this, that makes it 4. So that's correct. All right, so but now let's fix this oxygen. So if I've got 2 already here and I need 10, let's put a 5 there. That would make that 2 times 5 is 10. We are balanced. We are good to go. So 4, 5, and 2. All right, next one. And then we'll go into the challenge question. Ag2O yields Ag plus O2. Okay, so I wrote the equation down, list everything you see. I see silver and I see oxygen. I've got 2 and 1, 1 and 2. Okay, so my instinct tells me I want to try silver first. Oxygen and hydrogen are the ones that we kind of leave last, so let's try silver first. So I've got 2 silvers, excuse me. I have 2 silvers on the left, so let's put a 2 here. Let's see if it fixes it. Okay, well that fixes that, but it doesn't do anything for the oxygen. So if I've got 2 oxygens here, I need 2 oxygens here. So let's put a 2 there. Well, that makes that 2, so that's fixed, but it changes that silver to a 4. Dang it. So here's what you do, is you just go back and you put a 4 there, and that becomes 4. And it's fixed. Remember to put a 1. And that's it. All right, last one. The challenge question. So this one's not challenging in terms of making you think. It's just challenging because it uses really big numbers. Sorry, I kind of gave you a hint. Anyway, if you want to pause and try this one before I solve it, go ahead and pause now. Okay, so I have sulfur, I have oxygen, I have 8 and 1 and 2 and 3. So my first instinct is to fix the sulfur. So I'm going to put an 8 here to fix that. That becomes 8. But this also multiplies the oxygen with a 3 attached to it, so that becomes 24. That's a huge number. So if I put a 12 here, that's good. That makes that 24, and we're balanced, and that's it. So 1, 12, and 8. All right, if you have any questions or need any help, or if you're confused, you know where to find me.